All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing One Ring, second edition tonight, continuing our Waking of Angmar campaign. We've had some small little technical glitches, but looks like we're ready to go. If I disappear and turn into a gray screen, just let me know. But yeah, we're ready to go. We've got a couple of us have a double header tonight, so Stephen, Gilly, Ashley, and I have
Respond to
another
all
game.
names, thanks.
Yes. So this is gonna be fun. We get to. I mean, by fun I mean it does mean Ashley and I have to hang out with Steven for like 4 or 5 hours tonight, which is, there are numbers and then there are numbers. But anyway, I'm just teasing. It's gonna be fun. But yeah, we're gonna start off with some One Ring, and later we're gonna do some Darker South. So it's gonna be a really good time. The other cool thing is that we're starting up a new adventuring phase tonight, as we did our very lengthy fellowship phase last week. Yule fellowship phase kind of dug into the characters a bit more. They did some training and some improvement, some personal growth, etc. And now we embark on a new adventure. We'll see what happens. So why don't we introduce those characters? We'll start with Long. Long, tell us about Floy. Hang on, let me and then let's. I kind of want to. I'm not sure if I've asked these questions before, but this is gonna be fact now. So whoever comes up with it is gonna have to, like, this is the truth, and you all can, like, obviously pitch in. How did Floy meet Gilly? So introduce Floy, and then tell us how Floy met Gilly.
Right. I am Floy, Dwarf of Durnsfolk. I am now 70 after this fellowship phase, no longer 69.
Not nice.
Good old treasure hunter, battle axe wielder, good and durable. The way he met Gilly, let's see. A couple years back, traveling on the road, there was a hobbit's feet. That's all I could see, just sticking out behind a bush. And also, what Gilly was doing there was, I guess he was searching for something. Searching for maybe ingredients. Who knows what it was? But I would just go take a little bathroom break. That's what I ran into her in some sort of woods. And I guess she might have stepped in them or stepped in it without seeing it. And maybe she got annoyed. But we made it up later in a town nearby. And that's how we're friends today.
I feel like there was some Mad Lib in there.
Wow.
Just kidding.
Just a little bit.
Give me a burp. Okay, give me a no.
Okay. What was that? Okay. Well, we now, when Gilly met Floy, we now know.
It's canon.
It is canon now. Apparently, Gilly stepped in. Did I understand that right? Gilly stepped.
Yeah.
Floy went to go to the bathroom, and Gilly stepped in it while searching for something. Like, I guess. Okay. Oh God. Well, I don't know who had that on the bingo board, but that definitely,
I did not.
we could fill that card in. Okay. All right. Next up, Gilly. Obviously, you're gonna tell us about Gilly, but then 2 questions. One,
Okay.
what were you looking for? Okay. In that little story, and then also, how did you meet Auriniel?
Okay. My name is Gilly Kettlegrass, and I'm 35 years old now after the Yules. I'm our scholar of our group, and I love information. And one of the because I was younger, I wasn't quite an adult like I am today when I first met Floyd, and my friends had taken my journal from me, and they had hidden it somewhere in the woods. And so I was looking for my journal. Thankfully it was up in a tree and it wasn't in the bush where Floyd did his activities. And that's how I met Floyd. And Auriniel, How did Gilly meet Aurelial?
Should we throw out random nouns and verbs?
I had gone to the Shire, and that's where there's this like abandoned-ish kind of building more to like the north. And there were like rumors that it was like haunted. But it wasn't actually haunted. It was Aurelial. She was singing out there. And I like to debunk myths because I like to collect stories, and nobody else was brave enough to go check it out, so Gilly Kettlegrass had to do it.
Okay, in the north, huh? I'm trying to look. Could that be Kingsworthy? Which I don't know if that's haunted though. I don't think that's. Oh, they've got a haunted to it.
Like up toward North Moors, maybe.
Okay, sure. Well, yeah, because there's the.
Yeah,
there's
that's. I was thinking more
okay.
like around the North Moors.
Okay, all right. I think that could work. Sure. Man, I didn't realize Gilly got that far. Okay, that's gonna sound terrible. That far around. In her younger times. But okay. All right, I like this.
I just had to tell Mom and Dad I'll be back by dinner. And then usually they were toked up, and I didn't really have to worry about it.
That is true. Yeah. But it's actually several days journey from Bree to North Farthing. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair enough. And it's not a fairly dangerous journey for part of that, actually, too. Greatest Friend is not extraordinarily safe place. Okay. Bottom row, Aurelial. Tell us how Aurelial met Floy.
Oh, I was thinking I was going to get off easy because Erebon was next.
Yeah, how'd you meet
Erebon?
We
already know how that happened. Oh,
well,
darn.
we know how Floy met Gilly, but we don't know how Aurelial met Floy.
This is true.
It's a triangle.
But what if Floy met Aurelial?
That could be fine too. It's like
okay, so I'm going to stall a little bit.
Tell that one.
Make sure it involves dwarf poop
Stalling?
in some way.
I absolutely abhor anyone who stalls. Are you kidding?
So Aurelial is our Ranger of the North champion. She is now 22 after the Yule.
Okay, just so you guys know, you don't all have to have birthdays in like the 3 months of winter. Like you're allowed to have birthdays in like spring and summer.
No,
it's okay.
That's what we bonded on.
That's why you bonded. You all have the same birthday.
Same birthday?
Oh, God.
Fuck yeah.
Oh jeez. Oh, Arrow Luvatar is weaving some sort of strange. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Okay, so. Well, in that case, then I will say that Aurelial met Floy in a bar.
Okay. Where?
Let me look at the map real quick. Where would it make sense that there would be a bar?
Well, there's several places around Bree. Everyone's birthday's in September. That's true. That is totally true. It's very, very true. Everyone's birthday is in September. It's really nuts. My singing voice gets beat up. Okay. I mean, we could just say Prancing Pony or something like that. We don't have to go crazy with it if you don't want.
Yeah. Okay. So, Aurelial was, kind of healing from some wounds and met Floy.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there was an arm wrestling competition that was going on there.
There we go.
Where do you think the wounds came from?
And somehow Floy won because no one wanted to arm wrestle him because he smelled really bad. Oh God, where have you been?
Now he's learned personal hygiene. We learned that in Yule. He's
Yep, we had the bathing.
How far Floy has come.
Exactly. All right, and then finally we've got Erebon, who obviously we know how he met the three of the previous people. But how about this? What was Erebon doing when he got caught or captured? Did we really ever go into that too much? Do we know?
We did not.
Yeah.
So I'm playing Erebon, child of Eru, elf of Linden, elf with no more home. I have long brown hair, wear a nice cloak, carry a great spear, very friendly, very peppy guy, always optimistic. Not really, I'm the emo elf. Now that now that Yule has passed, I am 1134. I had my birthday. So
We're
I'm
all
a
in
year older.
September.
You don't look a day older than 1122. What are you talking about?
I liked
So-
1133, but now I'm 1134.
Yep.
It throws the whole thing off. But
Everybody's
anyways,
got that December birthday, apparently.
yeah, it really screwed me. Really screwed me.
Okay.
So what I was doing, I was behind some bushes, taking care of some, personal business, when some hill folk were wandering around. And the reason I was in the Ettenmoors there was because I had taken it upon myself to go orc sling. Actually, I was headed north into Angmar, and foolishly, you might say, by myself. And the hill folk wandered when my literal guard was down.
Okay. All right. Very good. I like it. Okay. All right. So with that, with a little bit more backstory, I can't believe Long made that canon, but it is nonetheless canon now. But
I'm gonna
okay,
be stuck on poop jokes all night now.
I
I
hate
know,
it.
that's what it
I'm on
feels
track
like.
and I can't get off.
somewhere J.R. Tolkien is just rolling around in his grave at this. Way to go, Floyd. All right, so let's do a quick summary here. It's been a few months since you all had your encounter with Rotag and his warband that was north of the Ettenmoors on the edge of Angmar, etc. In that time, Yule's passed, Midwinter, the Midwinter celebration, Durin's Day for Floy, all that came and went. Gilly, during that time, remained near Bree, studying maps and old texts with Oswald Breaker. You helped out Lou Oldbuck by tending to some sickly livestock. You reconnected with your parents, Tolman and Primrose. Floy spent a brief amount of time in Coombe antagonizing Meadow Oldbrook before, because he wanted Worm's goat milk, as always, before he returned home to the Blue Mountains. There, he gave his old armor to the Dwarven Vaults. He learned more about the shadow-touched mithril that he found in Rudour. He has a smith friend, Eloy, who discovered these ancient runes etched into the rings, suggested that it was probably crafted by dwarves of Nogrod or Belagost. And then you had a scholar, clan scholar, named Jadi. I'm gonna emphasize the E at the end, just because. Who's a dwarven scholar who thinks that it might be cursed and it might be stemmed from something to do with Nogrod dwarves and elves of Assyrian, but you would probably need to get somebody who's a little older, wiser, or dig into it some more. Let's see. Aurenial and Erebon, they both wandered a bit, actually. Aurenial, you hung out with your ranger friend. You shared some new songs. You spent a lot of time in the Barrow Downs, overlooked the old forest of the Shire. Erebon, you explored the land. You haven't really traveled around here for quite some time. Found a lot of old sites that were crumbling to ruins, or they were dismantled and the stone was being repurposed by villages of men. You glimpsed the White Towers of Lesterion, and you met with a group of elves near the Grey Havens, and you asked them about your old friend Balavan, who apparently survived the Battle of Fornost, which I think was news to you. Let's see. Then chance brought the three of you back together around the Brandywine Bridge, the Great East Road, as Floy and Erebon and Aurenial kind of met up again. There were some dwarven merchants that Floy was helping to sort of head back to Bree. You heard a couple rumors that had been moving about, like some of the people on the road. One was that Galdor, the herald of Curdin the Shipwright, had been visiting settlements along the road, asking about incidents at Fornost recently, and that something was troubling the shipwright, the very, very elder elf. And then the second rumor, which is the one that kind of you all took up on, they were coming out of North Farthing, in fact, which is what Gilly just referenced, which is strange enough, and that there were some strange folks who were crossing the waters of Lake Evendim. And they were kind of sort of seen roaming about the hills of Evendim and the sort of the great half-sunken city of Anominas. And so like I think as you all kind of come back to Bree and to Coombe, you met with Gilly, and I think the four of you at some point decided that you were going to investigate this, thinking perhaps these strange folk might themselves be the same Rudour clans that came and sort of ransacked Fornost and some of these other places. So we're going to pick it up. We are in we're still in town. We're still in Bree. What would you all like to do as you prepare to head out? And where are we heading?
First, I think Erebon would ask Gilly, how does that song go that you wrote again?
You can attempt it if you would like.
I'm afraid I have no voice for singing, young Gilly.
And,
They wrote a song. Like they wrote competing songs for their downtime stuff.
I wrote scribbles. Gilly wrote a masterpiece.
Oh.
I hear
I've sung
Long
once
has a
for us.
freestyle rap ready to go.
Actually, do yeah.
Okay. What do you got? I mean, you can share. You don't have to. Obviously,
You don't have
share
to,
if you
but
don't want to. There's
I'll
no-
share mine first to build yours up if you want, because yours is much better than mine.
Well, this was the order that they were also conceived. So Steven did do his homework first.
You don't have to. I'm not trying to pressure you into it. I did want to put you on
We'll
the spot
see.
to be funny, but
can
you don't
try.
have to.
You can.
Okay.
You can do yours. First.
So Erebon, I don't think actually wrote this. In my head canon, this is me as a player completely putting stuff on Long to decide. When Long was traveling back to the Dwarven Hold, and he was telling.
Oh, you're muted.
Oh, of course. And he was telling people the story of what he did as he was handing them a new artifact to be placed in their treasury. I imagine that someone, maybe himself or another dwarf, just started magnifying that story a little bit, and they wrote the Ode to Floy.
Oh.
Fear spread as shadow grew from that pale scar. A dark host massed in the old wound, Angmar. Do not despair, for a single hero rose. The warrior Floy had chosen his foes. Great Rotag's war might crashed upon good Floy, but no fiend can best dwarven battle joy. A fearsome troll, with one blow he could fell, yet that day a dwarf axe sounds the death knell. I'm also well aware that this is dwarf washing everything, and that Irenial was the one who killed Rotag. But
Yes.
my mind, I could only rhyme Irenial with millennial, and that didn't seem to really fit Token. So I'm
Sure.
sorry, Melissa. Not trying to take anything away from you.
Not a problem.
That was
done.
absolutely wonderful, man. That
Yes.
was great. I think it's fantastic. Let's see. I'm trying to see what I can reward you with. You're at full health.
Wildly inaccurate, but skillfully crafted.
Okay.
Artistic
Tell you-
liberties, I think that's what we
right.
Trying to see. I'll tell you what. Just take a free bonus die, Erebon. You can use that at any point tonight. Just sort of from the inspiration of singing it and getting it, all that kind of stuff. You can take a
Woohoo,
bonus die.
Thank you.
Use it on any roll you want. Doesn't matter. Okay. Are we are we somewhere? Are we in the Kuman Waddle? Are we at Gilly's home? Are we at the Oswald Breaker home? Is that where we're at right now?
Where would you guys meet me up at?
I forgot if we
I-
regrouped at all after what we did.
Yeah, the three of you made it back. I think we ended on the three of you making it back to the Breelands because you met along the road, and then it was about seeking out Gilly, and we kind of did it really quickly towards the end, where maybe you guys met up with her and told her about the rumors you heard, and I think that's when you guys made your decision that you were more interested in looking into the strange folk along the hills of Evendim.
Yeah.
So
I feel like this is a little
Yeah.
less public and maybe more like Gilly's place.
okay.
That maybe we're just
That works,
hanging out
yeah.
together and not so much for public consumption of all of this, but just more our own
Okay.
Gilly's got out on the table all of the maps that she was going over with Oswald, and she's just kind of filling you guys up with it,
Sure.
catching you guys up.
Okay. Ode to Flo. Ode to Joy. Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to share if you don't want to, so it's perfectly fine. And at some point, if it comes up, you can also do it in character at some point.
Yeah.
If we're doing, we can always do that too. But other than that,
Long, did you write something?
Of course I did.
of course, Long is always good at this. Long always does this. He always does. He's very quiet sometimes, but he always gets shit done. Are you kidding? You can share it if you like. No pressure.
Yeah, it's more maybe a journey thing. So
Okay.
I
Yeah.
might pop it off when that comes.
That sounds great. I think that sounds great. All right. So how about this then? So you all have we'll assume that you've all met up. Gilly's home. Her parents are hosting, whatever it might be. Erebon kind of shares the song. You all tell each other like the tales and of what you did over the time off, what you've learned, things you've heard, things you've done, etc. And these rumors kind of pop up, and that's where you all kind of you kind of get interested at this notion of strange folk from the north coming down again. Like we've heard this before, and specifically they're going to the site of like old powerful like Northern Kingdom ruins of Anuminas. So this does certainly seem like a potential lead on Lottie and her clan. Now I guess the question is, what do you want to do? So like you can certainly just leave town, but there's also plenty of things you have resources here to tap into. You have local scholars, you have Talendale and Marimben, you've got you can get supplies. There's lots of things you can do before sort of we journey out. So what would people be doing in terms of preparation?
Gilly would be trying to get as much information on like the location where we would be heading as possible.
Okay.
Like before heading out.
Okay. How would you go about doing that? Like just tell me a generic idea of what you would want to do. Like talking to people, looking into lore books from Breaker's library, or something else.
I think, sorry to jump in, I think Erebon having somewhat familiar knowledge of the area would be willing to help Gilly with that as well, providing her with any details that he remembers from centuries ago.
So what we can potentially do then is a lore roll, and if you want to burn a hope to give her support on this, then she can get a bonus die. And obviously we'll say is the better you roll, the more information you can potentially get. So
only if you want to roll lore, Gilly. I don't want to force you into that.
Oh, I'm down to roll lore. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Jesus
burn a
God.
hope. First one.
I love lore. What?
yeah, I prefer
Okay.
data personally, but that's just me.
Okay, and we're ripping it.
All right, just a single success. Okay, so you probably won't get as much as... Okay, so there's essentially a couple different locations of interest here. So there's the lake itself, Lake Evendim, which also goes by like I would say Erebon would probably know this more from its Sindarin name of let me get this right, Nenuil, which is like Lake of Twilight, Twilight Water, etc. So like, but I think between the two of you you kind of come together on that. You would know that it is a fairly large inland lake, kind of. And maybe even if a Rennial pops in on this, about 50 miles, like north to south, maybe 20 miles wide, etc. The Brandywine or the Berenduin kind of flows into it. And you know that on the western side and kind of sort of, all on the western side are what are called the hills of Evendim, right? And then there's Anuminas itself, which... so those are sort of like the three kind of key components of this area. I'll move the map over so folks can see what I'm talking about, where we're at. Oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. So yeah, we are basically in this general vicinity on the map. Don't worry about that. That was just a reminder for me. Okay. So get rid of that. All right, so you can see that like that's essentially the lake. A couple rivers kind of flow into and out of it. Anuminas itself is sort of a ruin of like the old kingdom, or a capital of like the northern kingdoms of men. But it was eventually like shifted and moved to Fornost, right? But in the last something like 20 or 30 years, I can't remember the exact dates, there was the Fellwinter that caused like heavy flooding in the area, and so much of the city of Anuminas is flooded. Really, there's just like the western tower that can be seen sticking up out of the water during most of the year. Now, during the winter is when the water levels are lowest, and so perhaps more of the buildings then are kind of revealed. And that's exactly when this group of like strange folk from the north were there. So that's kind of what you know about the ruins themselves. Obviously, there's plenty of rumors. Floyd would probably have heard about, artifacts, things to loot, etc., because it has, great treasures from the West, from, the history of like the most powerful of men, etc. The lake is... I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Like, you only got one success, so I don't want to give away too much. But yeah, that's probably what you would know of Anuminas itself. It is considered a somewhat dangerous place at this point, because no one really kind of lingers around there. It has some, like the ruins itself have some kind of sort of odd stories and like, superstitions about it. About like, obviously like the haunted stuff and like what lingers there, but that's about it. I would say you could probably get with one success. But what else is everyone doing? So that's what you have about the ruins.
Okay.
But you also do know that it's just west of Fornost, so it's possible Talendale might have information. It's possible Oswald could have more information, so you could potentially you have other people you could potentially ask. Aurenial, Floyd, what are you two doing in like your preparation for your journey here?
Obviously, I'll be repacking, having supplies and things ready to go. But I guess information-wise, to get anything, I guess I'd group up with locals or anyone in the Rangers. I guess Talendale, like you just said.
Okay.
Maybe they know more.
Yeah. So, like, there's Talendale you could speak with. There were the Dwarven merchant caravan that you were with and the Dwarf House and stuff that that there's people who come and go from Bree to the, like, your Dwarven halls in the Blue Mountains. So, like, you could also kind of, just see what other rumors and more information they have. So it's kind of up to you, like, who you want. Like, there's a lot of information to be gathered. It's just a matter of, like, what kind and from whom.
Okay,
so
I'll go ahead and meet up with the Dwarven merchants then.
Okay. All right. So you could do... For you, I mean, I doubt you probably want to do a lore roll, but you could do some kind of... I don't know. Some kind of...
I'm down to do a lore roll. I haven't done one yet.
You could do a riddle as you're trying to get more information about what's going on. Like, I would take a riddle. Something like that might work.
Okay.
Because it's more, again, this is more about conversation. This isn't about like your own personal knowledge or what you're reading or learning. It's more kind of a social thing.
Great success.
Very nice. All right. So a couple things you would have then kind of gleaned from sort of the merchant caravan that you've been on. First, you would have heard that... All right. I'm trying to like, there's a lot of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to... Okay. So you would know that during certain times of the year, like winter and like kind of early spring, and then like late summer through fall, like there's like this mist that tends to kind of coalesce on the lake itself, and only really during like the middle of summer does like the mist really burn away. Other than that, like it's kind of like it flows in from the east, and there's a lot of talk about why that might happen. Some is just sort of a natural phenomenon, but obviously there are people who have suggested that there's more to it. And from some of your kind of greedier treasure hunting kin, they've mentioned too that it's not just Anuminas itself that is of interest, but also there's rumored to be like islands somewhere in the middle of the lake, small kind of hidden islands where some of the sort of men from Anuminas have like kind of hid these little treasure troves of like important artifacts because they didn't want people looting them. And there's also kind of rumors of some kind of curse or sorcery or whatever that kind of affects the area as well. Like there's something that kind of weighs down, and whether those things are connected, people aren't really sure. So I think that's what you would probably get from your dwarven merchants. Aurinial.
Yeah, I would circle back to Marimbem and Talendil.
Okay. Sure. I think that, I mean, they would obviously give you some info no matter what. But if you want to roll like some kind of persuasion, like you can do like persuade, or you can do, I think persuade probably makes the most sense.
Okay.
Lore, I guess you could probably do too, because you yourself could potentially have information as a ranger. You probably traveled around there.
Okay.
So either one of those.
A little better with lore. Let's see.
Okay.
That looks bad. Yep, that's fail.
Okay. So the only information you really kind of hear as you're conversing with them is like they don't really they themselves haven't actually spent much time within those ruins. Like Talendil will explain that he spent more of his time around Fornost itself. And so that was kind of the perch that he had set. He has heard, though, that other rangers have traveled about the hills of Evendem. And he does mention that there is this village on the northern side of the lake of Eskerdale. Not on any map. And it's mainly because the village of men are, wary of outsiders. They kind of like their privacy. But if anyone would know anything about the lake, about the hills, about the ruins, about strangers moving in with this land, it would be those people. Because they're people who like hunt the hills, they kind of fish the lake, so they know more about that location than anyone else. And so if anything amiss were happening, if there were any sort of strangeness that was afoot, it's most likely the people there. And he says he's never been there himself, but he knows that it's on kind of like it's on the northern side of the lake, kind of in the base of the hills. That's what he's been told. But that's the extent of what he has.
And I would want to check in with Marimbem regarding just like how she's been doing. Like, did she spend kind of the whole Yule here with Talendil? Is she kind of looking to continue with us, or kind of go back to where she's been staying?
Oh, you want her to come with you? Okay. Well, I mean, over the Yule, Marimbem and Talendil. Talendil was still recovering. He had extraordinarily significant life-threatening wounds that he suffered at Fornost that was taking like literally weeks and months for him to recover to the point where he can walk again. And over that time, he was able to. They had spent some time at Breaker's home, but eventually they journeyed kind of into the Chetwood to the north. They've reconciled to some degree, but when you meet with Marimbem, you can certainly tell that, there's still an edge to her, of course. But she doesn't much care for town, but certain people she seems to engage with a slightly higher level of courtesy and decorum. But you don't get the sense that she's like fully on the sort of the path of light. The shadow still kind of circles around her. As for whether or not she wants to come with you, that's up to you. You would need to persuade her if you would like to try to bring more allied support. So if you want her to come with you, what case do you make? And then we can do a roll to see if she's willing to come with you.
And I would say that, Aurinial, I think is extending this offer a bit more out of courtesy than necessity. Like last time it was more of a necessity. Like we're definitely going to need extra support as we go. I would say this time it's kind of more of a, we have this, next kind of leg of our investigation that we're going to be doing. If you're interested in coming, I'd love to be able to continue to learn from you. So I would say it's not quite as much of a hard sell as it was last time.
When you mention where you're going, and you mention the hills of Evendem and everything to her, like she'll light up and she'll say, "You know that the hills are often plagued by beasts and trolls that come down from the lone lands to the north. Decent troll hunting in those parts. I could be enticed if you want my aid still."
I would very much enjoy having you with us.
Okay. I think it's so. Go ahead and roll persuade, because this is less about convincing her and more about maybe convincing like Talendale to like back off and everything.
Sure.
Maybe convincing yourself that you like her company.
I do like her company. But I also, it's kind of one of those things like make the decision that's best for you. Whereas last time I was like, no, you really need to come with us whether you want to or not.
Right.
Although I do think I want to, let's see.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay me this time.
All right, well, we'll see how the roll
If I'm gonna
goes.
be living amongst these humans. Mortgages.
Oh
And
no.
I'll tell you that warm goat's milk is very pricey. Someone's driving the price up. There's a scarcity of it, in fact.
Oh, I think I almost had it.
I
think I
well, I don't
almost
know.
had it.
7 looks really bad to me. Okay. Oh wow, it's 2. So we'll say as you're talking to her, yeah, you can see there's hesitation. Like on the one hand, like she wants to go, she feels kind of this like wanderlust to some degree that you and Erebon probably share as well. Like not wanting to get stuck necessarily in one place, specifically this place. But like you can also tell, and like this is one of those situations where the fail isn't necessarily an awful thing. You also can tell that there's like a concern, and maybe it's something that Talendale in the room brings up as well at so quickly kind of going back out, and what sort of diving back into like this wholesale slaughter, because that's possibly what could happen along these hills. Like if she encounters more of those, could that sort of trigger some of the darker parts of her shadow path and everything? So so instead she just says, I think you have the capability in yourself and with your company to handle this without me. Should, of course, a greater threat rise, you can, of course, return. Both Talendale and I shall aid you in that. But I think for the time being, I should remain here. Talendale and I have much time to make up for.
I know where I can find you if needed, but I do hope that you find the respite that you truly need.
Well, thank you. Be wary out in the hills. I'm not as familiar with the North Moors and the hills of Evendom as Talendale, some other ranger folk, but there's a deep history to those places, which is both comforting and concerning. There's a melancholy in the land that is very easy to pervade and insidiously burrow into your own heart. Stay true to each other. Stay true to your... She's like, you can tell like this is through gritted teeth that she's saying this sort of positive stuff. Stay true to your goals, and remember that you are not alone, as much as it might seem that way sometimes.
I always have much to learn from your wisdom and appreciate your good wishes.
So she kind of rests a hand on your shoulder a bit, almost like she's getting ready to pull you in for an embrace, but doesn't quite go that far, and just sort of firmly grasps the shoulder, then this is the top of the arm, and then she and Talendale depart. It seems that they have been spending some time actually moving about the Chetwood and getting back into hunting and clearing out some occasional goblin bros and stuff here and there. That nothing too crazy, nothing out of the ordinary.
And Ireneal's happy that they kind of seem to be doing all this together, so she's not too disappointed that Maribem did not join.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything in mind that they wanted to do before we kind of head out on our journey? This is all kind of over the course of a couple days. This doesn't have to be like nothing too incredibly time sensitive.
I don't think I'd have anything really specific. I would just want to make sure that we're well prepared with provisions for the trip and everything. Go about the logistics aspect.
Okay. So at this point, you all are, like I was saying last week, if you wanted to switch out useful items for other things, you could certainly do that, knowing that you have a journey. Like, I know that some of you had taken up useful items that were more for like a wintry landscape, which is not what you're going to be going into this time around. Like, you have that basic understanding, like it's springtime, and although like the snow is melting still and like the waters are rising again, like you're going near a lake, you're going to hills, you're going to be remote for a bit, but it's not necessarily like the harsh wasteland of Angmar in northern Rudour and the Lone Lands. So if you wanted to switch stuff out, you're welcome to do so now.
What does everyone have for items as we put everything out on the table and kind of plan our packing?
And Gilly's dad is just like,
Yeah.
guys, you guys going somewhere?
Erebon would empty out his pack, and it wouldn't take long because there's almost nothing in there. It appears that Erebon has lived off the land for some time, and actual material possessions he doesn't have many of. What he finds useful, he wears, and he doesn't carry much else. So his useful item is his well-made cloak.
Nice. Gillian
I-
Foy, I think you have the most highest standard of living and the most items, I think.
Yeah, Gilly has 2. Well, I mean, I am rather partial to my lantern, so I'm definitely keeping that. And I mean, you can't go wrong with my rope and hook. I mean, that's gotten us out of a few pickles, I'd say.
Always useful to have some amount of feet of rope on any adventure.
As for me, I got my classic maps, Sunstone, in my expensive clothing.
Which are
Expensive
just
clothing. Are you like gonna stop and go to a show while you're at it
I
too?
know, right?
Very useful. Very useful.
Oh my god, that's great. That's great. I hear Hamilton's playing the theater outside enemies. Okay.
So
yeah.
Ireneal is probably going to switch back. So the snowshoes are not going to be useful this time around. So I think she's going to.
Before you commit to anything, we're going to a lake, so consider flippers.
I refuse. There are no flippers in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Hell no.
No. But I will
Just
say she had
Whatever.
swapped out a small knife for the snowshoes. So I think she's going to
Okay.
go back to her small knife.
So you hand the snowshoes over to Gilly's dad, and he's like, "What am I supposed to do with these? Are they
Just hang it on the wall. It's like decor.
He's just like swatting at a fly. Oh, okay.
Dad, go in your room.
What? This is my home. I paid for it.
It's nap time or something, right?
You hear your mom.
You're embarrassing me in front of my
Tobin!
friends.
Leave our daughter alone. you have like you have the most sitcom-y parents of all time. Okay.
I have to
The-
say, I love
her-
our campaigns when somebody's parents are involved and
Yes,
we
I
go
agree.
like visit parents.
Oh my gosh, our Starfinder campaign with your
Yes.
parents was the best. Holy crap. Where you hid bodies in the bathtub or something? I can't remember what it was. Yeah.
What?
That
They
we
hid
did.
you hid bodies in their car, and then like Coder's character slept
in the bathtub.
for some reason.
Okay.
It was the dumbest stuff. Oh,
Yes,
so
it was
funny.
lots of fun.
It was
Yes,
so stupid.
my doctor mother was so disappointed that I was a mechanic.
Yeah, she had a doctor mother who was constantly looking down on her, and they had killed some people who were trying to kill them and hid the bodies inside the family car or something like that. It was so good.
Wow.
It was great. Anyhow, that's not what's happening here. All right, are we ready to dive into the journey phase?
Ready.
Okay, so hopefully you all remember some of it. If you don't, it's okay. I'll go over it now. I'm trying to
Oh,
switch
we have
over
suggestions in chat for fishing gear because we're going to a lake.
Yes, I totally agree, Australis. It's George's parents. Like, Gilly, I got all this bologna sandwiches.
I gave you too much power.
I mean, like, no, he's been. What am I supposed to do with all the bologna?
Too much power.
I love Estelle Costanza. She's my favorite Seinfeld
Fantastic.
character. She's my favorite Seinfeld character. Okay, so that's now what I see as I see Jerry Stiller. So I see, well, Jerry's an actor. I see George. I see, was it Estelle and I forgot George's dad's name. Never mind. We're getting off topic. Let's hop back into the journey. So, all right. First of all, let's figure out where is your target. So you've got a couple options. You have the ruins themselves. You've got the hamlet of Eskerdale that Talendale mentioned. So those are kind of two clear options. You could also just do sort of the lake itself or the hills. Like is there a specific Frank? Thank you. That's the word. That's the name. Is there a specific target that you would want to look into?
Auriniel would make the case for Eskerdale.
Okay.
As also informational gathering as well.
Erebon
seems
wouldn't
like-
be opposed to that.
Seems like we have information on there by the shores of the lake too.
Yeah, and then from there we can possibly acquire some sort of way to check out for the islands and then make it to the ruins. But I guess it just depends if how long we waste time in case they just went straight to the ruins.
Well, and we may even be able to get some information on their movements, if we're able to talk to some other folks first as well.
Information's always great.
Yeah, like what you heard, like the rumors that you heard was that there were strange folks in the hills and they were possibly walking across like the lake, like when it was frozen over during the coldest parts of the winter, right? That's what you've heard. And again, that was some time over the last month or two. So this is stuff that's already happened. So like whether they've left, that you don't know. They could still be there. They could have left. Like you don't know fully. Like that's something you still kind of have to like suss out. So if that affects your thoughts at all.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Yeah, then Gilly would be all for popping in the town too.
Eskerdale, here we come.
Okay, so you only have an approximation of where that is, but you do know it's somewhere around the north side of the lake, kind of somewhere in a gully of the hills. So somewhere kind of up there somewhere is this town. And so what that's going to mean is that we're going to target a general area north of the lake, and that's going to be our journey destination. But then once we kind of reach there, we're going to have our own sort of separate sort of skill endeavor to then try to literally find the hamlet in that broader area. So that's how this is going to work. But we have our general idea there, and that's what I had the little marker there for, was like giving you a general idea.
Yeah.
Of somewhere around like where that red, that's not perfect. That's just sort of the general ballpark of where you're going. All right. So then, okay, so let's actually walk through the phases again. Let's map it out. So who wants to do the whole mapping out thing?
Long, you want to do that?
Gilly, Floyd. Someone
Sure,
other than me.
Map it up.
Yeah, so
Get
draw
the-
like literally use the drawing tools to sort of draw the path. Gilly has, some basic sketches of maps that she was looking at with Breaker over the winter. So just draw the direction you want to go.
Thinking out loud, like my thought might be kind of going to the fork in the river and then cutting to the or that way.
Okay, going up the greenway.
Yeah, I think we've taken like sort of this path before, but we're just going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
Going west instead of east.
That works.
Something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So kind of starting to go up the greenway towards Fornost, and then kind of cut west at a certain point, and then find the river, like the kind of the arc of the brand new line there, and then kind of continue on like a northwesternly bearing until you've reached the north part of the lake. Okay, that's perfectly fine. We can totally do that. All right, so then let's do roles. So there are 4 different roles. There's guide, hunter, lookout, and scout. Guide is the travel role. That's making all the decisions, etc. Hunter is going to be doing the hunting rolls. Lookout is doing awareness rolls, keeping watch, etc. And then scout, which I know who that should be, is in charge of setting out camp and opening new trails, and they roll the explore test. So who's in what position?
Aureliel does hunting.
Okay.
I would prefer awareness.
Okay. So that's lookout for Gilly.
What were the other two? Explore and...
Yeah,
Travel.
guide does travel, scout does explore.
Well, then I would have to do explore because I don't have anything in travel.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be the guide then.
Okay, so scout, Erebon. So scout, that means you're in charge of setting up camp and opening new trails, and I think it's wonderful that Steven's the scout. I think that just fits. He's the best scout. And then the guide.
I'm the best scout?
Yep.
Someone clip this for me.
We literally only have one scout, so you are also the worst scout.
Someone
Real
clip that.
Salties. That's a great name. Yes, we are playing One Ring Second Edition, so Middle Earth, between like the end of the Hobbit and the start of the actual Lord of the Rings. We're in that realm in between those two. Okay, so we've got our path, we've got the roles, etc. Last call. Any other things that you wanted to do in town before you set off?
Oh, yes. Yes.
What?
Sorry, give me a second. I'm going to... Oh, goodness.
The whole party is like
I
geared
pulled
up.
it
We've got our caravan ready.
No.
And Aureliel's like, wait, I need my handkerchief.
You're good like 3 hours along the Grady's Road, getting over to the intersection, going up to Greenway, and then
No, we haven't left yet.
And suddenly, stop.
Oh. Jeff knows what I'm thinking, and I cannot think of her name. Marge.
genuinely I have no idea what she was thinking.
Marge.
What about Marge?
You have to stop in and say hi to Marge.
Oh, for Christ's sake. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I don't
Gilly
think
does
Steven
not
knows
go
anything
this
about
time.
this.
I vote Erebon goes with you.
I don't know what Marge is, so
You don't. Yeah, you don't. You don't know Marge.
You want to go.
So Aureliel will explain that we have an acquaintance that we ran across that had been exiled from town, but not necessarily for good reason. And his mom is older and ill. And he asked that we check on her when we are in town. And we always forget until the very last minute to go check on her. And last time we did chores around her house, but we kept our word, and we should keep our word.
Okay.
I didn't
Yes,
realize we signed up for every time we're down.
I know. I mean, you
That's
had
a
like
big
3
commitment.
months to do this, and now you're like, oh, we're leaving. We got to do this first.
that's what I was about to say. We've had all of Yule.
It's so much time to check in on her, and now you're doing
It may end up
just.
just being a knock on the door.
You knock on the
say
door.
hi.
Door opens up.
What do you want?
Yes, ma'am. We just wanted to swing by and say hello.
And she's
And
got one of
inquire
those
as to
things,
your health.
like where the bottom lip is kind of disappeared beneath.
My health is poor and sickly as it's always been. What? You look familiar.
Yes, we
You-
were
you
here
don't.
several months back. No, this is our friend Erebon. He was not with us last time we stopped by.
Are you an elf?
Yes, you seem to have a bit of a cough. Have you tried
Yeah.
tea?
Of course I've tried tea. It's the first thing I tried.
And
Perhaps you should try it again.
Hmm.
Aurelia will
Perhaps
reach
I
into her
will.
bag, and she has some like dried, like just jerkies and different things that she kind of made like a little kind of towel wrapped bit of food
Gift
for her.
basket?
Oh, I remember you now. You were the one with the little hobbit who came and did all those chores, and you were supposed to fix the gate, and the gate's still squeaking. Now, I don't know about you, but shoddy workmanship is a sign of poor character. Now, I'll take this little package that you're giving me, thank you very much, but you're going to get over there and you're going to make sure that that gate doesn't squeak. Or else, what kind of reputation will there be for you?
And Aurelia will just sort of nod and just say like, okay, on the way out, you won't necessarily see us darken your door again for a little while, but on the way out, we're gonna take care of that squeak.
1 second.
And you see her waddle off behind, and you hear like some thumping around and stuff. Kind of reeks. And she comes back to the door, and she's carrying what looks like a big old toolbox.
Yeah, I assume you didn't bring your own.
And she just thrusts the toolbox into your chest.
So Aurelia's gonna go over to the gate.
Is it
Um,
rusty? Does it just need oil? What are we
I
looking
know
at
that's
here?
what I was thinking. We just needed to
Roll a
throw
craft
some,
check.
like, some oil on it.
I love these like completely no prep for this. Let's just. What can I do?
Do you want to roll the
the?
craft or should I, Aurelio?
I've got 1 and a 13.
I've got 1 and a 14, so you go ahead.
You
All
want
right.
to burn some hope to help the other? Support this.
You know what? No. Let me roll if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
I'm gonna use my bonus die.
Oh yeah, for the song. There you
Oh,
go.
that's right.
So you sing a bit as the two of you work on repairing this fence. That's probably how this is manifesting. Go ahead and roll.
And Erennial just gives me some side eyes. I'm singing about Floyd instead of.
Yeah,
It's still a failure.
It's not rusty, but like you oil the thing up to the point where it's like, oh my god, there's just like it's like dripping oil, like it stains on the wood, and you think you finally got it, and you go to drop the tools off, but then as you go to leave,
It's
you open the
squeaking
door,
again.
it squeaks again. It's just like, oh my gosh. And she's like, as the door is closing, like to her house, and you guys are leaving through the front gate, she hears the squeak, and she's like, what?
I thought you said you fixed it.
She waddles down, nearly falls down the step, and thrusts the tools back into your chest.
I'll tell you, there's just the young people these days. They just have no work ethic.
My apologies. I'm used to dealing with elvish hinges. I'm afraid Bree hinges are somewhat different of craftsmanship.
Different, or do you mean worse? I heard your tone. You know,
Well,
Not
if you
everything
hear the
elven is
squeaking,
better.
the hinge is obviously too tight. No matter how much oil the hinge is too tight, it's going to squeak.
well, if you're so smart, I suppose you can fix it.
I could
Renee will
remove the
try.
hinges and then it will no longer squeak.
What was that, Erebon?
I can remove the hinges and then it will no longer squeak.
You guys break down the gate to the point where it no longer opens or closes and just flaps around in the wind as you try to like
It's
you try to
not
like break
squeaking,
it.
right?
It's not squeaking, but now it's no longer closing, and it's like not fitting into the door. It's just flopping around in the breeze. Now you see some of her like chickens are starting to like scurry out.
Like, now, what are you doing? Oh, they're gonna get out now. What's wrong with you? What am I paying you for? This is ridiculous. Goodness.
It's all free. No worries. No money involved. No money at all.
You're breaking my gate for free. I feel so fortunate.
As one of the chickens runs out of the gate, I just want to suggest perhaps some chicken soup would help with that cough.
What are you, some sort of some sort of healing person? You think you can fix my sickness as well? You can't even fix a gate. How can you possibly fix my sickness?
Yes, it does seem that no matter what, some hinges will always squeak.
Meanwhile, Gilly and Floy are just chilling with our horses and like all of our pack stuff.
What's taking so long?
Where'd they go? Weren't we supposed to leave like an hour ago?
That's true. It said something about Marge. I don't know.
Did you hear about that? They made us. She tried to make us fix her window and her gate.
Oh, she needs her home fixed. I could have done that easily.
We might have to go because they'll be stuck there forever. You're good with fixing things.
Maybe next time.
You bastard, Floy.
8 hours later, they're still not back. The whole workday they're still not back.
Casing chickens, trying to get them back in the yard.
Camera zooms back to Marge's home, and not only is the gate actually deconstructed, but most of the fence is too. Like the chickens are running free. Like everything's going crazy. It's just absolute pandemonium over here. Okay.
You think of a Tolkien elf and you just think grace and expertise, and then we cut to Erebon chasing after a chicken trying to grab it.
And so you bring all the chickens back, and you make some sort of makeshift. You just start tying the gate in place for now. And then by the time you leave, she's very disappointed.
She's like, I am going to report you to the Craftsman's Guild. You shouldn't be repairing gates at all. What is... Ugh, goodness. Me and the paint. The paint is already peeling. I am... Oh, God. Absolutely. Good night.
And she slams the door.
Erennial, as unpleasant as she is, I do feel slightly guilty for ruining her gate. If there is a Craftsman's Guild, perhaps we should pay them to fix it.
I had the same thought that someone, I mean, really, you would think one of her neighbors would have taken it upon themselves to provide this assistance to her, but
I feel like her neighbors give her a wide berth.
It does seem true. Can we say that we drop a coin?
Sure, that's fine. So
Get it
we'll
done.
say you pay a proper handyman to come out the next day.
I want entirely new hinges. I don't want just
Okay.
repair.
You hit the blacksmith, everything like, and then by the time you're all done with this, it's dark, and you go back. Floyd, Gilly have been waiting this whole day. Like you got up early, you were ready to go and make an early start. You got distracted with Marge, and you had to go do shopping, hire a right handyman, and you lost a whole day. It was a whole day that you could have actually been traveling. And so you go back to Gilly's house. Her parents are token up pretty hardcore because they thought that you guys weren't coming back. It's a very awkward night entirely, but you got to start the next morning again. All right, so let's continue our travels then. All right, so I need a travel roll from Floy.
Let's get some successful rolls on the board.
You should really leave that poor old woman alone. We did not do well last time.
Elven mithril hinges. Okay.
The legendary squeaking gates.
Great success.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Okay, so again, if you're unfamiliar with how the journey rules work, travel roll kind of determines like there's like a hidden GM screen that has like hexes and stuff like that, and sort of breaks down whether certain areas are dangerous or not. So judging by this, and that determines like where the events will actually occur, that kind of thing. And so you're departing from here, and with a great success, you do pretty well. Just checking one thing. All right, so I'm just getting this all ready on my screen, my side of it. So you're able to move almost the entire way up the road. Like again, it's a couple days travel. up the road. And you've most of you have traveled this before, Erebon, even when you were doing your kind of wanderlust. Hey Burr, how's it going? Even when you're doing your little wanderlust during like the Yule months, you probably passed through this, but you can kind of move the token all the way up to where the bend is. In fact, as you pass by some familiar sights, including that peculiar forest where Floyd nearly kind of fell down into the copses and then heard like the strange whispers and things that were kind of calling to him at this point. But yeah, it's a relatively kind of dull journey for the first few days out of Bree. Not many people take the Greenway north anymore. It's more of the south, like a kind of a southward run at this point. I'm gonna need, let's see, Iriniel, go ahead and make a hunting test. As in your haste to get your stuff ready, and then like the kind of the false start, you forgot to pack like enough food for the first couple of days, and you don't really want to waste some of like the things that have been dried and preserved, and so you spend some time hunting about.
Thank goodness for the Gandalf dice, because that was a bad roll.
Yeah, I did see that. So you do get, oh yeah, because hunting is favored for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's a pass. All right, I'm just doing a couple rolls. Sorry, it's not working for some reason. Oh my god, so stupid. There it goes.
There we go.
Okay. So, okay. So you, as you pass by like this sort of strange like forest of trees, you pass by the town of Archit. Renewal, you see like a little archery contest that's kind of going out as you journey for the first day, and kind of dawns on you that you keep forgetting to maybe go and get one of those bows made. You pass by the copse of trees itself that like, and you don't hear the whispers or anything anymore, but then you kind of get within sight of Fornost after about 3 days travel. All of you have like this sort of sinking feeling starts to overtake you, like as if like a palpable sense of sort of despair is trying to kind of push its way into you. You can kind of feel the weight of your shoulders begin to kind of weigh down on you a bit. And you notice along the side of the road a disturbance in some of these stones that have been scattered about, that as the three of you were traveling here last, several months prior, you actually remember there being like a proper, almost sort of pyramid ziggurat shaped stacking of these large stone blocks. But when you look at them now, it looks as though something has either ruptured or someone has disrupted it in some way, and the stones are kind of scattered about in this haphazard fashion. Even one huge slab that Floyd, probably the strongest here, you probably couldn't even pick up all on your own. Who would like to, one of you, roll a scan test?
That is
Whoever
not
would like
me.
to do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at those.
Okay, go ahead, Floyd.
One success.
Okay, you notice, and it's probably makes sense that you see this, that when you were passing by before, maybe you mistook this for like the base of a building or a tower of some kind, but now that you see it, and you see the stones scattered about, you actually see that it was a barrow, sort of like a tomb, and it looks like it's sort of been dug down like deep into sort of the wet earth. It's somewhat disturbed in some way, some kind of makeshift tomb. You also notice that there's what appears to be like tools and stuff in the area, rusted a bit, like they've been left out in the and kind of has some weather wear to them, and it looks maybe about 50 feet or so away from where this disruption is, the remains of an old campfire, with like 2 bedrolls.
they don't let people know, it looks like someone's been staying here, or they've either found what they needed and left, or something scared them off.
They pillaged a grave?
So it seems.
Would he? I mean, that's what Floyd does like all the time. That's his job.
Someone beat us to it then.
Seems as if they left in a hurry, though. I mean, who leaves without their bedrolls? Aurelio would like to try to look around for some tracks or kind of where they might have gone off to.
Sure. Roll. You can either roll, I guess, scan if you want to do that as well, or you can roll. I assume you want to roll like hunt or something like that. As you're
Yeah,
for tracks.
looking for
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
tracks. Great success.
Okay. It does look like there's basically 3 different types of tracks around here. You see two sets of boot prints that are scattered about the camp. With the great success, you can tell that none of them seem to have been recent. Like they certainly seem to be a little bit windblown, as if like a couple days worth of wind or rain has matted them down a bit. You also notice what looks like hoof prints, so maybe they had like a pony with them, but you don't see that anywhere currently. It does look like the prints kind of come and go between the camp and where like the barrow has been dug into the earth beneath where the stone has been disrupted, as if they've kind of come and gone. You don't see any tracks kind of moving back towards like the road itself. It just looks like they've gone back and forth. But everything looks like it's like a few days old between the rusted tools that have been laid and like kind of cast about in a lazy manner. The bedrolls are cool. They don't look like they've been slept in. You check the fire itself. The fire is not warm. You can tell from the campfire that it's been probably several days since it's burned. It just doesn't look like there's been any real activity in at least maybe 4 or 5 days.
And so, if I'm understanding correctly, it is possible that they could have gotten themselves kind of in trouble back kind of where the grave area is. So I'd kind of want to go look at that, like if it's deep underground, like a hole that, because we've fallen into a hole and gotten stuck. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do see like a kind of a makeshift ladder, like that was built from, like it looks like they built it themselves from like local twigs and wood and stuff that they probably snatched off some of the trees nearby, kind of wrapped it up, and it does go down into darkness, so it's at least maybe 8 to 10 feet down. But it's like kind of muddy and wet a bit. Like it rained probably either in the morning or last night or something. There's still some dampness. It is springtime, so it's not uncommon.
Gilly, perhaps your lantern could illuminate this for us?
Sure. You want me to go down there?
Well, just some bright light. And then we do have a dwarf.
Oh, this worked out so well last time that we did this.
Erebon is happy to volunteer everyone else.
I'll hold the ladder while you 3 climb down. So what do you do?
OSHA safety, all right? You got to have someone holding the ladder at all times.
I'll go down if Floyd goes down.
Yeah, it's possible they're still down there. They could be stuck, trapped. It's been days.
Exactly. We should try to provide assistance.
So I'll head down.
Okay. Floy, you descend. It's very dark, assuming Gilly has a light.
Yep.
You can, once you hold the light up, you can see the bottom. And it looks like there's like hollowed out earth. Like it's almost like there's like a mini tunnel that has some basic reinforcement, but it looks like wood reinforcement, like a mine in some ways, like how you might see on a mine shaft. They kind of have the wood beams here and there. But Floy, you drop down and you can see that it kind of extends off in 2 different directions, as like this is dropping down in the middle. And so we'll say like one kind of moves off to the south and another kind of moves off to the north. Floy, you go, or Gilly, you go down after Floy. You have the light up, and yeah, you can see what looks like roots and things that are piercing through like the walls. There's again a little bit of wetness here and there, and kind of sludge on the walls, like you're not sure if it's soaked all the way through or what exactly. But you do see like there's boot prints and stuff down here as well, and there's more like tools, like little hand trowels and stuff like that, crowbars, that kind of stuff, like laying in the mud and the dirt down here. So it's north and south.
Yeah, I'll follow that track of footprints and tools. See if I find anything.
And
Okay.
Aurelia will climb down the ladder now that both of them are down.
Okay.
I don't want to be up there alone. I guess I'll go with.
Aurelia
Damn it.
will hold the ladder,
Almost got him.
following safety protocol.
Okay. Sure. So the two of you climb down as well, and all of you are kind of down at the sort of intersection, like of the vertical and then the north-south tunnel. Floy, you move northward is sort of where you think the tunnel is kind of moving towards, and kind of does a slight curve, and eventually you see it opens up onto kind of a rounded room. Again, there's no masonry here. Everything's like bridged with like what looks like old thick beams. But when you kind of come around the corner, you notice two things. First, you notice that there's some sort of like not sarcophagi, but certainly that's the close enough word for us for this in this particular case. Like it looks like there's been some kind of shelf in the wall that's been carved out of the dirt, and you can see that there are like wrapped up bodies, and then you also see another body laying on the ground. This one not wrapped up, face first in the dirt, and you can see unmoving. There's a broken lantern nearby, and a couple scattered tools in here as well.
I'll hurry over to the unwrapped body, check it out.
Okay, you rush over, and you put your hand on it, and it's cold. And so you realize, like, right just by touching it, this is kind of a dead body at this point.
It's too late for him.
As you kind of expect him a little bit, maybe roll him over or whatever, but you noticed that, like, his skin looks strange. It looks extraordinarily, like, pale, like almost, and also like desiccated, as if it's been, rotting away for years, as if it's just something has been sort of sucking the marrow and the life out of it to the point where it's kind of shriveled at places. It looks like the skin has retracted, and there's all these like horrible wrinkles here and there. The bone structure of the face and the arms is certainly like becoming more and more pronounced. Go ahead and roll a heal test if you want, or if you're there, Gilly, you can do it as well. I'll assume Aurenial and Erebon, unless you're telling me otherwise, I'm assuming you're going with them.
Yeah, I'd
definitely.
be with them, but
Yeah,
I would
sticking
be
together.
first one
Okay.
to do the heal test.
All right, so Gilly, you can roll it.
Okay.
You're there.
Great success.
You
Nice.
actually notice 2 wounds of note. Like he does, like the body of him. It's a man, certainly a Breelander. You can tell. He's got kind of some stringy hair. It looks like he might have been balding at one point, or maybe that just happened afterwards. It's hard to get a good guess, estimate of like age, but certainly not young, but also not like Oswald Breaker's age, probably middling years, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe, but nothing's, like in the 60s or so. But there's 2 wounds of note. One, there is a large slashing wound and sort of a diagonal cut from what looks like just underneath the left shoulder down through the torso and kind of leaving at the right hip. At the centermost point in the chest is probably the deepest, and that's where you can see like the shirt that he was wearing and the skin are kind of peeling apart at the same time. Very, very dark kind of brown coloring here, as if the blood that was there has long since dried. and it's hard to even distinguish it in some cases from the dirt stains that are on the shirt as well. But you also notice like what looks like a handprint on his face.
And that's a wound? Is the handprint, or is it just?
It's just like something noticeable, right?
Okay.
It just looks like a hand has been sort of placed against his face.
Like there's the impression of a hand.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like something has been pushed, and like the skin is sort of revealing that, almost like a mark in some way.
So Aurenial has like a handprint scar on her arm from like the frostbite incident that happened a while back. Does it look at all similar to that?
As you kind of roll your sleeve up and you take a look, and you look over it, you realize it does in fact have a lot of similarities to it. And right as you're about to say that to Gilly, the light in your lantern flickers out, and it's utterly dark in this sort of section of the tomb. You're nowhere near like the sort of the overhead spot where the ladder was, and all of you hear the sounds of like voices just begin to kind of permeate in the area. Your light flickers back on, Gilly, like as it sort of like dimmed and flickered out. It almost looked like the flame was fully gone, and then it changes color ever so slightly. Like it goes from like this sort of bright yellowish orange and kind of starts to dim now to more like this sort of almost like kind of foul green look, and it starts to kind of push all of these different shadows onto the walls. And when the light comes back up, you can see kind of standing there over top of you and Floy, and over top of this body, the figure of an individual with maybe 6.5 feet tall, kind of looming over top of the two of you, head which is covered in some kind of mask in what looks like helmet of some kind of adornment, not horribly dissimilar to the one that Aurenial now wears. And it's kind of leaning and hunched over in such a way, and as you track the body down, you realize there's no actual legs at the bottom, and it just seems to float around. I need everybody. Let me get this right. Well, we don't have to technically do it yet. But it reaches out towards Gilly, as if it's like you can see like there's this kind of spectral blade in one hand, and then the other hand reaches down as if it's trying to grab Gilly. We're gonna go into initiative at this point.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gilly!
Okay.
Erebon just kind of squeals out of fear.
I don't actually have a map or anything for us this time. I wasn't sure if you guys were actually going to go in there, so I didn't actually put a map together, but that's fine. It's small enough that we can, and it's just the one combatant that we can just do theater with mine, but I'm going to put some tokens on here just for targeting sake and stuff. So I'm going to add us all to the initiative.
What was that frostbite you got before? Was that from a wraith?
She got it during some sort of magical, like, yeah, she was within the center of the runes as you were traveling through Root Hour. She heard those whispers once more, and then she felt something grab her wrist, but then Gilly, I think it was Gilly who pulled her out of the circle, and everything seemed fine. Okay, so yeah, let's we're not gonna have opening volley because this is all kind of happening super fast, and let's go from there.
Start the combat for us.
Yeah, that's just switching over the music here. All right, no opening volley. So we're just gonna begin combat now. The first thing we need to do at the start of combat, this is where this is gonna trigger. I need everybody in here, in sight of this thing, which is, you now can see the light has dimmed to the point where like you can see it kind of reaching down towards Gilly at this point. None of you, I think, are holding any kind of lanterns or torches, everybody roll. Let's say I'm using what's called Thing of Terror. So at the start of the first round of battle, all player heroes in sight gain 3 shadow points.
Oh no.
You can test that. You can test dread, and those who fail their shadow test are daunted and cannot spend hope for the rest of the fight. Actually, no. You just take the shadow points. No. You can defend that. No. Hang on. Sorry, it's been a while. Too many. All right, making a roll. Sorry, because we're doing a shadow test. So this is going to be dread. Everyone roll valor.
Can I?
Oh no.
I'm gonna spend a fellowship point on this.
Great success.
Okay. All
Failure for Gilly.
right, so we'll do them one at a time.
Success
Right.
for Renil.
Start with Floy. Floy, what'd you roll?
Great success.
Okay. Take 1 point of shadow. Gilly, what did you roll?
Failure.
Take 3 points of shadow as dread begins to overtake you as you see this hand reach down towards you.
Which kind of
Aurinial,
makes sense.
I would think so, yeah. Floy, you're a little bit more nerd than it. You've seen nameless things before. This ain't nothing. Aurinial, what'd you roll?
Success.
You take 2 points of shadow.
Okay.
Erebon, what did you roll?
I failed. I had like a 6% chance of succeeding.
With a Eye of Sauron, too. Okay.
I got an Eye of Sauron as well.
Thanks for letting me know. It's
You're
important for you. To
I got a
tell me.
Sauron? I didn't see that.
Someone did. I saw someone get an Eye of Sauron.
I
Not
did.
not
It might have
Erebon.
just been me.
Okay. From now on, let me know when you get Eyes of Sauron. It can potentially be important. You take 3 points of shadow, Erebon, unfortunately. Whoever failed takes 3. So I think that's Gilly and Erebon. As the two of
Yes,
you
sir.
are quaking in fear at the sight of this thing that just emerged out of the darkness. Okay. Got your stances set. Aurinial and Erebon are both in defensive. Floy and Gilly. Set your stance.
Not sure if I have control or not.
You
What do
should.
you mean?
Just the options to switch aren't popping up exactly.
Click left click and then right click, I think. What stance do you want? And do you want forward, I assume?
Oh, I was in the drawing tool. I think.
Oh yeah, there you go. That's why.
Oh yeah, because he was the one who drew for us. Got it.
All right. Going forward.
So as the light flickers back up, this thing is reaching its hand down towards Gilly. So I'm gonna let it get this little chilling touch thing off first, and then you guys can begin your. It's gonna be sort of like a surprise round against you guys, and then we'll go into your normal combat. So this was its hand reaching down towards Gilly. So Gilly. Okay, you had your light up, so that's that. All right, I'm gonna burn a point of hate. Give itself a
Oh,
bonus. Okay. Sorry, I'll roll that in the open. My bad. I didn't mean to do
Yeah,
that.
it's hit.
I'll just re-roll that. Sorry.
So can Gilly get into rearward stance?
Yeah, that's fine. This opening thing is gonna go the way it's gonna go, though. All right. Now the bright side is that Gilly, you managed to scramble out of the way of it, and maybe Floy even intersperses himself between the two of you, and so it kind of pushes off this sort of spectral hand reaching down towards your face, and we're able to kind of dart away. And now we'll go ahead and start normal combat. Floy, you're up first. And this is a fairly small room, so anyone can kind of get anywhere. Gilly, you can scramble away and get into rearward, no problem.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm gonna switch mine to open then, because I was gonna be defensive to
Mhm.
protect her, but if she can get away, then I'm
Yeah,
not
that's fine.
gonna Just do open.
All right.
Uh,
Let's see like some of this axe I got here.
Axe body spray. Okay.
The dead body did have that like big slash across the chest.
It did. Well, it has a sword and does have like that hand, and like it does feel extraordinarily cold.
Mm-hmm.
7 points of damage.
Looks like I got a hit here. Yeah, 7 damage.
Okay, 7 points. Okay, got it. All right, so you hack away at this, and you can see that the blade kind of goes into the creature's form a few inches before you actually feel it catch anything, as if there's like a couple inches of just sort of this ephemeral kind of shiftiness, and then finally it does actually sink into some kind of armor, and you hear it as you land. It does seem to have done some work to it. Next up is going to be Open Stance Aurenial.
Great. So I am going to try the combat task of Rally Comrades.
Sure.
So I'm going to do Enhearten. And fail.
Okay. So
So
what,
I tried
what do
to
you
sing,
say
like,
that
My
and
version
what
of like
happens?
the combat song that
Okay.
just makes no sense. And it's
Okay.
just like, yeah, no, that's not at all enheartening.
Okay. Next up, Erebon Defensive Stance, as this undead creature is in front of you.
Yeah. I'm going to be taking a couple steps back and using the full reach of my spear to hopefully push it further back from me as well.
Sure thing.
And that's a Sauron.
You got an extraordinary success, though. That's fascinating. On terms of when it comes to ISRs, when it comes to like your combat proficiency rolls, I don't need to know, but everything else, let me know. Like when we're not like doing combat.
Well, you just
stuff.
asked me to let you know.
I know. I
I'm
was
just
clarifying.
I'm trying to be a good player here.
I'm sorry. 17 doesn't hit now. It would have a second ago, but it doesn't. Go ahead. What's your damage?
Crap, I deleted it.
You didn't roll from the right place. You are not the.
I
the
hit
scouting
spear
roll.
on combat proficiency, but I should have done it from the spear. All right.
Yep.
How do I roll my damage again?
You don't have to
Let me
roll it.
check.
Just what is the damage?
5 damage.
Okay, and then you have 2
then
successes. You can do.
I will use that to. I can't bring my feet die up, so I'm just going to do the extra damage.
Okay, so what is your strength?
Strength is 6.
Okay, so basically, remember that a heavy blow is you just add to the damage your strength score. So you do that twice. You get 12 points of damage from your strength, and then would you say it was for your spear?
5.
So that's
So
17 points of damage. So as you thrust forward into this, you kind of same sort of thing. Like the spear kind of goes over the shoulder of Gilly as she's kind of scrambling away. And like Gilly, you have to like kind of duck underneath it as this thrust of this great spear comes almost in your direction. And the first couple of inches of your stab, Erebon, like are met with nothing. It's almost kind of disorienting for a bit, and like you almost lose control of the spear itself. But then you feel it, and you hear like breath is just slowly being exhaled, and it looks like this thing is much like something like deflating on top of the spear itself.
I'm instinctively holding my breath because I don't want to breathe in anything it just breathed out.
As you pull the spear away, it looks as though it's kind of falling. But then like this huge burst of like, it's not breath, it just sounds like breath. And then like this horrible screech comes from it, and it seems to regain itself as I'm going to burn. I hate to use its deathless ability.
I knew you hated me.
Okay. Which I think that applies here. I don't know. If not, whatever. Gilly, your turn.
Gilly, she's just gonna do the prepare shot task, and yeah, because she doesn't even have her arrow boner or anything out, so I guess she might have to take that out.
What do you do?
But I
with
am
the
holding the
lantern?
light. Yeah.
Right. So I don't think you can prepare your shot and hold your.
Could
light
I
at the same time.
instead hold the light and then also get some of my arrows coated in some oil?
I just think if you're holding the light, I think anything that would require 2 hands is probably not like
Okay, fair.
feasible.
Yeah, then she's probably just gonna focus on holding the light then.
Okay, so you're just gonna hold it up and kind of keep it shined and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. totally fine with it.
Make sure to keep the creature in the light, kind of thing.
You can either roll a lore test or you can roll like a scan test if you want. I think scan actually might even be better in this because it's more like an observation.
Okay. And I've got my lantern out, so I get a bonus dice for that. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, and you notice that
success.
when you hold the lantern up, it almost seems to kind of recoil a bit, like, and like part of that weird kind of ephemeral shadow that seems to be like wafting around it recedes a little bit too, as if like literally holding the light up to it is somehow affecting it in like a negative way. So it's not like a wasted turn just to kind of hold and shine the light in its direction.
Cool.
Okay, so the Barrow White will go next. There are a couple different options in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Floyd did damage, and Arabon did damage. I'm gonna 50-50 this. 1, 2, 3 will be Floyd. So it will attack Floyd. It'll kind of turn in its direction, and it probably makes sense since Floyd did the best he could to sort of intersperse himself between this creature and Gilly. And this time, though, it's going to go ahead and swing its sword at you instead. I'm going to burn a hate, get a bonus die on this. Okay, here it comes. That'll be a hit and automatic success as I roll an Eye of Sauron.
Hey, Jeff, you rolled the Eye of Sauron on that.
Thanks, Steve. Take 5 points of damage and then roll a protection test. Need to be a 16. So roll protection, Floyd.
I can use the new effect of my meet the roll that I've learned. I can add 3 to the roll.
Okay.
Nice.
Protected.
Okay. So as this thing slashes down at you and you kind of turn towards it, you take a hit. You can feel the brunt of its blade. How would you say the new feature? How is the mithril actually helping you out here?
It's nice and close fitted, so where the spots that would usually be exposed are nice and tight, so it's able to fend off the strike.
Okay. We'll go to a new round then. It is once again time to set stances. Are we keeping everything the same?
Aurelia's going forward.
Okay. Floyd and
Staying
Aurelian
defensive.
Everyone defensive. Gilly, you're still...
I'll go open.
Go open? Okay.
Yeah.
Floyd and Aurelian, you're up first.
I'll return a blow with my axe.
Okay.
Oh, I just missed by 1.
You swing
Oh,
in,
no.
and you see like the shadow of its blade kind of come first, kind of cast in a strange light from the lantern that again is kind of flickering in this off-color light. And then you think it's not going to parry, but all of a sudden you hear ting as the sword manages to kind of catch the half of the axe and prevent the axe from going any further. Aurelian, your turn.
Okay. So I am going to go at this thing with my short sword. I'm going to spend a fellowship point to do this at favored. Success.
Okay. What's the total damage? You pulled
Sorry.
a Steven.
Yeah, I didn't target it. My bad.
You pulled a Steven.
It's just so much more convenient to hit that button compared to the other button.
I just forgot to target it. My bad. Okay, so damage of 3 on the short
Okay.
sword.
And there's no bonuses to that, so it's just straight up 21. What did you roll on your feet die? You don't have like a automatic piercing or anything. Actually, no, you
5.
you didn't have any bonus die or anything. So yeah. All right. So yeah.
Nope.
So while it's kind of locked in with Floy, you take that chance to slash into it. You hear as it does so. Gilly, you're in open. You're still got the light up, and you can tell that it's the light is absolutely bothering this thing. What do you want to do? You're muted, Ashley.
I'm muted. Whoops. Are there any like perhaps fallen pieces of like wood on the ground or anything?
Sure, yeah, I think that's fair. Plus, there's tools and things as well.
Gilly would like to like maybe grab like the hilt of like a tool and try and light it on fire to add more light into the room.
Okay, I like it. So we'll say there's like a broken like chisel on the ground, and it's got a wooden handle. You just reach down, you kind of open up with your hand, and you jam you grab it by the chisel side and shove the handle in, and the handle begins to lighten up, and the light kind of covers the room even more now, and you can just as it's certainly not appreciating this at all. What I'll do is
Good
I'm gonna say
thinking.
with that I'm gonna give it a penalty die in its next attack, as now there's
Cool.
I like that idea a lot. Arabon comes to you, defensive stance.
I am stabbing it with my spear again, and I will hit the
Okay.
right button.
Yeah, you thrust in,
Oof.
and at this point there's three of you surrounding it, which might help, but it's moving with this this sort of litheness that's kind of hard to pinpoint exactly where it is. You're seeing like a shadow trail it, and it's hard to get exactly what part of it is physical, what part of it is not, and like you thrust the spear forward and it seems to catch like whatever shadow that trails it as opposed to the body itself. Creature will come back around, and much like last time, it's going to go after Aurinial, I think, because Aurinial's only going to do any damage. So it's going to whirl around on Aurinial. The blinding light of the now open flame.
Mm-hmm.
But it will nonetheless target Aurinial. Let me switch over. And I will burn a hate to counterbalance that. So I will get my... Okay, and you are in forward stance. Okay, so here it comes. So it swings down in your direction. And,
Oh no! Oh no!
as if it senses who you are or what you are. That's an extraordinary success. It's a 20 on the die.
Are Gandalf runes supposed to be good for?
They're not. It's not counting it, though.
Oh,
It's a
weird.
20.
Okay.
It's a 20.
My
This
bad.
is, it was the
Four,
same thing
six,
with the
four,
other
six.
one.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to put some heavy blows on. So, yeah. It takes 17 points of damage, Aurinial.
Oh,
As it whirls around on you and just maybe anger from like the flame, and it's just sort of trying to slash out in the direction of Gilly, but Aurinial's in the way, and you get this horizontal slash right across your stomach, and you can feel the blade just cut deep, kind of push in, and like it's now you that's like shooting breath out as you feel the pressure in. Next round, stance changes. Anybody? Farkadev, thank you very much for those bits. That's 2 bonus die. That's even with that penalty die, by the way, Aurinial.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm
I
trying
think
to
if we can do
s-
that much damage, I'd prefer to stay in defense.
trying to see what we
2
could
heavy
do with our
blows
new
are
song.
Pretty useful.
That
Does
we
Did you
learned.
pick combat?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like if what was it again for combat? I think it's the bonus die, right?
So it's somebody has to make a song roll, which is considered a secondary action.
Mhm.
Heroes succeeding in the roll ignore the effects of being weary for the length of the heroic venture. It can be used once for each adventuring phase.
Okay, this is a journey phase, so you can use it once during the journeying phase. So somebody can do that. It is your turn though, Floy, if you want to lead off here.
Yeah, I'll just keep swinging until this thing is in the ground.
Okay. Aurinial, you kind of back up, ready to protect yourself more.
Yeah, yeah.
Dang, it's just not connecting.
Yeah, you swing again,
Shit.
and it's just like
Man.
whirling around with a speed you wouldn't have imagined. As it just finished this horrific slash through Aurinial, like just this 360, whoosh, and you feel like you have the axe blade ready to strike, but all of a sudden, like this perfect parry, as if you're dealing with what likely was once a very great swordsman. Gilly, I think you're up next. Actually, open stance. What do you want to do?
I kind of want to throw this fire at it.
Okay.
Or should I just, or I could do the song. I only have one in song, but
I would say that there's not going to be a difference between having just kind of brandishing the fire and
okay,
throwing
then
it at them.
touching it with it.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you maintain, if you're continuing to brandish it as like part of your action, I will continue to give it that penalty die. That's no
Okay.
problem. I'm cool with that. But I don't think you're going to get any more benefit from throwing at it. So
Okay, cool.
keep that in mind.
And I actually think it might be, if I'm reading the language correctly, like I sing the song to myself as a secondary action, which makes me ignore being weary. Like if I'm reading the language of the description.
What page is it on?
It is on 123.
So you guys did the Song of Victory. You sing, warriors sing string songs in combat to lift the spirit and renew their lust for battle.
Because it says in the little insert, heroes succeeding in the role ignore the
Yeah.
effects of being weary.
I agree.
Oh, okay, fair. Okay, cool.
So-
Then I'll do an enhearten roll.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend one of our fellowship points to get it favored.
Yep, this is a combat roll.
Cool.
We are in combat. We need to figure out where the hell Balin went. Alan.
Right? Where's he at?
He's dead. I killed him off.
No.
No, I didn't. I would never freak with it. Okay.
Great
No.
success.
So that means I think
Yay.
everybody in forward,
Because I haven't.
open.
Let me grab it. I've got it.
Okay. Normally it's just a forward stance, but because you got the great success, I think it extends to everybody in melee.
Yeah.
In
stance,
close
basically.
combat. Yep.
Yeah, anybody
Yep.
in close combat. Okay. So then it's going to go over to Iriniel and Erebon in defensive stance.
And so this is in the following round. So not this
Yes.
round, right?
Next
Okay.
round.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I am definitely in defensive. I will take a fellowship point and
Puts us down to 4, right?
puts us to
And don't forget, those are the ones that reset.
Right.
I have us down to 2.
We only spent one and then one.
Yeah.
You can only
Because
spend
we reset,
you-
right?
You can only spend fellowship phase. You can only spend fellowship points from Balin during combat.
Yeah.
Like that's specifically his thing. So you get favored rolls during combat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
started
'cause-
with 6, I think.
Yeah,
start
and
with
we should
6,
be
and
at
then
4.
you
Yeah.
spent 2. So yeah, 4. Yeah, I agree. Okay, Ernie, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and take one of the 2 D6s as well.
All right.
Oh goodness, that was an ISR one.
As you go to sing the song, you feel like your voice has been taken from you. Like it's just this breathy like expulsion of air, as if you're still recoiling and recovering from like the blow to your stomach.
Yeah, I'm just
that's
trying to
your
hit him.
Yeah, that's your secondary action, so you can go ahead and do your primary to attack him.
Okay, that was my attack.
Oh, my bad. I thought you were singing first.
No, because I can only do it once per phase,
Right.
which means
so
that if we come across something again, I won't be able to use it.
Okay, I mean,
mean-
you're almost halfway through the journey phase already because of Floyd's roll, and you guys went up a road. So
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Song.
you just took 17 points of damage. Melissa's one of those people who like collects all the potions in like an Elder
I would have
Scrolls
saved it
game
too. I
and
would have
never
saved it
uses
too.
them. I know. I used to do it all
Oh,
the time. You
We
know-
should have done the knockback. We always forget about that for your damage.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that would have been helpful. Okay, so I failed the song roll and failed my attack roll,
Definitely would
so-
have been helpful. All right, Erebon, finish this thing off. Though you
we
probably
have
can't.
1 audience die left, and I will use it,
Okay.
and I
Thank you,
will
Farkadev.
stab it in the face with my great spear.
Go
Okay.
for it.
Maybe.
Yeah, you did.
Possibly. Yes.
Is a hit indeed. 5 points of damage.
damage.
And while it's engaged with Floyd trying to hold off, and like Iriniel is swinging, but it kind of pushes with its free hand her shot to the side, you take advantage of the distraction and thrust the spear, and you hear.
And I'll do my best to kind of position myself a little bit in front of Erennial, seeing that she's hurt.
Okay, perfect. Remind me of that on its turn, which is now. So I'll say it probably won't attack Erennial. Floyd, did you do damage this round?
Nope.
All right, I think it actually, yeah, I think it'll just turn.
Oh no.
Being consistent, and it'll turn and go towards Erebon.
I mean, I didn't want that. Maybe did I say in
Nope,
front
nope.
of Erennial? I meant behind Erennial.
So it turns towards Erebon. The light still kind of very much
Hey,
frustrating.
more dice from Twitch. Thank you.
He's so surprised in
Yeah.
himself for stepping in front
Oh
of
no,
her like
those
that.
are for me. Those are for me. I'll burn a hate to get a bonus die, which will counterbalance the one I'm losing for what Gilly's doing, and it'll roll. Not good this time as it slashes out, but it can't quite get around the length of the great spear. As it it's kind of there's this overhanded, one-handed slash at you, but you're able to kind of very deftly step back just a little bit, and the blade crashes against the ground right in front of you. Next round,
Totally
Chant.
planned that.
stance changes. Anybody with stance changes?
No. Stay in defensive.
All right, Floyd.
Always defensive.
You've been having a rough combat. You haven't really been doing very well. Floyd's
It's been a couple months. I haven't swung the sword.
Little
Or
You
my
get
rusty.
an
axe.
extra dice though.
he looks great though. Don't forget haircut, braided
That's right.
beard, new clothes.
Maybe
He
it's because
bathed.
he's not
I gotta
rugged enough
break it
right
in,
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah. He's just like, oh, like he's very obsessed with his image now, so his clothes are a little bit tighter because he's like, wearing
He
like,
doesn't
some
wanna rip
skinny
the pit.
jeans. Yeah, exactly.
Well done, Erebon. I found an opening. And I'll
Okay. And so it slashes down towards Erebon, and you take that momentary opportunity to step forward and just like slash it across its back for 7 more points of damage, and as it starts to swirl around a little bit, but still manages to keep its form. Ron Talks Tabletop, thank you so much for gifting those subs. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very, very, very kind of you.
Oh, thank you.
Unfortunately, it will not save the players. I really do want to murder them, and by them I mean the players. I have no problem with their characters. Their characters are pretty cool. I'm going to start with Steven, naturally. Gilly, you're in open stance. What would you like to do?
She's gonna attempt another Enhearten roll, I think.
Right.
Oh.
Floyd, did you take that, by the way? Did you take the bonus
Yeah, I took
dive?
the bonus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't forget the bonus dive from Gilly for anyone who attacks.
I'm laughing
so-
at chat. Floyd's on the cover of Dwarves Health magazine.
Shirtless and airbrushed, exactly.
I love it. I'm just gonna rip it as is, and we'll
It's
see
like
how this goes.
it's some weird like avant-garde thing. He's riding his pony and he's just sort of looking out. He's got some sort of fancy cigarette.
Looks like it should be on a romance novel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Windswept hair.
All right, no Enhearten for next round, but
Yeah, you start to kind of shout out again, but stumble a bit, and like the light begins to flicker, and maybe your nerve lessens a bit, and it kind of comes out more as a yelp than it does as like some.
yeah. And then
control
I'll
voice.
clutch my pearl, and like hold up the light more.
Renial comes to you. What would you like to do?
All right, I'm just gonna try wearying from defensive stance. See what I can do. Am I still targeting? Yep.
You're at
still
that
targeting.
episode, are you, Australis? I know what episode you're on.
Oh, that's awful. That's
Yeah,
just awful.
You are just slowing down, that gut shot has just really
Yeah.
worn on you. Like you can feel like the blood beginning to seep out of the wound, beginning to coat the insides of your clothes, of your armor at this point. And Erebon comes to you.
All right, so I have a bonus die from the Enhearten, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And I will take another bonus die from the audience, I believe, putting us down to 3.
5 actually.
5.
Five. Oh, I miscounted.
Yeah,
Farkadev
Farkadev
two,
gave us
Joel
an
gave
extra
4.
2.
So yeah.
Oh, yeah, the extra
After
2.
we spent those.
Thank you
Perfect.
again. Yeah, because I want to end this. So just one audience die, and we'll see how this goes. Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
wasted them all.
And a bunch of ones.
That is a really bad roll.
That was
oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah.
So bad.
D12 and 4d6.
Erebon is like really
We're
scared
in a-
right
we're
now,
having a hard
guys. I don't know
time.
if you've realized
Yes,
this.
I think so. It will be the white's turn now. Has anyone did no one did damage this turn, did it? Everyone
Yeah, I
No.
got a
failed?
little hit on it.
Oh, Floyd did?
yeah,
well, it's
Floyd
gonna
did, Floyd
turn
did.
it's gonna turn right to Floyd then. It's really just kind of darting between all of you. Whoever's most recently did damage. And it will swing at you with its ancient sword. I'm not gonna be able to burn a hate this time. The fire. Alright. I still hit. Oh my goodness. Alright, so take 5 points of damage and another protection roll. As it turns back around, thrusts out with the blade at Floy. Those were so
I
many
think-
dice.
Oh, I put the wrong thing. I thought.
Are
putting
you
the number
supposed
would
to
give
have
me
9 d6s?
no.
That myth
That's
roll.
some meat
That
roll
beat
there.
roll. I thought advanced would give me a value, not bonus dice. I'll reroll. Just
Okay.
add 3 to this. It would have been
Uh,
18. So
You are woo. It would have been an 18. 18
Yeah.
would have been good. Yeah. Target number was a 16. So yeah, you are not wounded. You take 5 points of damage. And we go to the next round. No one gets a bonus from Gilly this round. Floy, you're still in forward stance. Can you finish this thing off?
Yeah, let's try and give a counter blow to it.
I'm gonna switch to rearward.
Okay.
There it is. I got a great success. Heavy blow. 14 damage with a protection roll.
Ooh.
Well, I don't have to roll a protection roll because you do in fact defeat it. What does it look like? What does this final blow look like, Floy?
Yeah, after taking repeated strikes and just giving up on the defense, I go full barbarian mode and just lift my axe above me and swing it down on him.
Okay. And you kind of carve down into it. You feel nothing for like the first 3, 4, 5, 10 inches, and all of a sudden as the blade sort of reaches where the chest should be, you just feel it suddenly catch to the point where your arm nearly wrenches free, but you hold on to the grip, and you just feel it slowly carve through something, and as it kind of collapses, you see it sort of begin to sort of almost implode to some degree. The shadow that was kind of embodying this sense of like this kind of armor that was around it begins to suddenly disperse, and you watch as it kind of dances along the wall a bit in an almost unnatural fashion, and then this rusted armor and helmet and sword just crumbles to the ground, clanking in the dirt, and like the shadow just disperses along the wall, and you have defeated this creature.
Oh my gosh. Irinial is just in the back, like she was gonna try to fumble and switch out her bow, and she's just like kind of doubled over. She's like, oh.
What a nasty fiend.
But there was still another one though. We didn't find the other one.
Oh, another person. Right.
Mm-hmm. You did also notice that the pony was missing. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So it's possible one of them got caught, one of them.
Got
But you
away.
did not, yeah. And if you, and I'll even just say that if you go and you check the other side of like the tunnel, there's nothing there. There's more of these
Yeah.
bodies, but nothing kind of spawns. You do notice, though, in addition, like kind of buried in the dirt amongst this, there is like a treasure hunter sack, Floy, and you can see that there's like all sorts of these silver goblets and things in here. You're not sure if it was actually from here where these were collected, or from maybe a previous place where they've dug. This doesn't look at all like war gear. It just looks like sort of silver spoils that they might maybe have been carrying with them and were planning to put more into it. But you all can figure out what you want to do with 4 treasure from the spoils of this whoever this was.
Yeah, 1 each. We'll carry on his legacy.
Erebon wouldn't feel good about looting a crypt, so that one can be divvied up however you guys want.
Oh, don't mind if I do.
Well,
Gilly,
you and I work well
Irinial?
together.
Gilly and Irinial? Are you taking treasure as well?
I'll take 2. You guys can have 1 each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 of you go ahead and take a shadow point.
Nice.
Erebon, you're in the clear.
Because I
should-
have
should have
morals.
known. I should have known.
We don't talk about it too often, but there's different categories of shadow. We do a lot of dread and sorcery, but there's also greed, and
Oh.
this kind of comes into play here. I think it comes into play like looting a tomb like this, someone's place of.
I was focusing more on the description that it didn't necessarily come from here. It was just things that they had
he was
carried
tricky.
with them. So that's what
know.
I was hearing.
That was
I felt
bait,
like
for
wasn't
sure.
I was totally
necessarily
baiting. I was just totally baiting.
from here.
Yep. I knew I didn't have to do any work whatsoever for long. I knew I
Oh,
had.
yeah, you could've
It was
said
just
the
a
Shredder
question of
came from
whether I
anything of, like, Shredder.
I was like, well, he did say that it may have just been there, and well, they,
Yeah.
man.
All right. So you climb back up. Maybe take some time to put the stones together. You probably all can move the stones back on top of this. Takes a little time, but you can kind of cover it back up. I need Floyd to do a travel roll as you kind of get ready to kind of get back on your journey, kind of veering westward a bit.
Got a success.
Okay. Very good. Just the one?
Yeah, just one.
All right. So then we're almost done, but there's there's one other thing I want to do really quick. All right. So then I'm going to need, the scout Erebon to roll an explore test. As you guys finish stacking up the
Success.
these different stones atop the cairn here. There's like this kind of displaced cairn, and even having done so, I would say Gilly, Aurinial especially, maybe not Floy so much, there is maybe a sense of guilt, of uncertainty over whether looting this, taking this from this dead man's body or from this tomb being somewhat of a murky decision, but it happened. But you can continue your travel. You keep Fornaus to the north, kind of keep it to your right as you leave the greenway at this point. You see more of those little groupings of flowers and such here and there that you saw before. Like
The white
and
ones.
like now that you know what they are, that kind of makes sense. Erebon, you're also relatively familiar with the fact, like with some of the history maybe of like the Battle of Fornaus. You're kind of crossing over these plains that are between Fornaus and Edominus, and where like you might even, I'm not sure how much Erebon knows, but like it might kind of be dawning on you that you're literally walking across ground where you're a friend of Erebon.
I would have traveled this ground extensively after the battle.
Yeah. And you know that like soaked into the earth is the blood of elves and men who came here and taunted the Witch King of Angmar to come down from, after Fornaus was sacked, after he sacked Fornaus, they managed to taunt him out into the field of battle rather than having him stay behind his walls and sort of accept the siege. He came out and met like Curtin and the forces of the elves of Linden and the men of the west, the sort of the remainders of the Dunedain, like kind of came and confronted. And these plains that you're now crossing, like this is where so much of that battle took place, where the forces of Angmar were kind of defeated and routed, pushed back. Eventually, kind of cross amongst here. Aurinial, could you please move the token just kind of to the edge of the river there, or like where the bend is, would be fine.
All the way
for
over there?
me. Yeah, I think that works for me. As due to Erebon's familiarity with the ground, like you actually don't get lost in some of these sort of mist-covered, gullies between hills and such, and kind of take a more direct path. One night, though, a few days in, as you're been probably 3 days since your encounter with the white inside of the cairn. You're kind of setting up camp within a few steps or so of the winding river here, which is in itself not the widest of rivers at this point, but you know it feeds into Enaminas. This is the Brandywine, or if you prefer, the Baranduin, if you're of the Elvish variety. But as you guys are sinking in to sleep, whoever it is, maybe Erebon himself is the scout, you notice on the water, as like mist and fog has kind of rolled in here and there, kind of covered your camp, up the riverbank a bit, out onto the water, you see in the distance light on the river. And you watch Erebon and maybe others as you wake up. You watch as you see this boat beginning to kind of very steadily in an almost like surprisingly fast amount of pace, more so than you would expect, move up the river here, kind of moving northward around the bend. When it's at its closest to you, which is still some distance from you, it's actually kind of hard to see, if not for the starlight and for what looks like a single kind of miscolored lantern that Gilly, when you look at it, it has that same kind of greenish glow that your lantern turned into when you were in the barrows just a few days prior, and it kind of sits along the backside of the boat. And the boat is very difficult to see otherwise because it's kind of this dark and ashy wood. And with your eyes, Erebon, with your kind of keen elvish eyes, and Gilly too, with your fantastic vision, there's these haunting runes sort of painted from bow to stern, front to back of the boat, just beneath the gunwale itself. And you can see that there's a black sail that's unfurled in full. And despite the wind seeming to blow almost in the opposite direction as you watch the mist kind of sort of wolfed around in different ways, the sail remains full. And you see these well-patterned oars, like almost military-like, lifting, dipping, pushing, lifting, dipping, pushing. So there's 3 of them. And then a cold breeze begins to swirl around all of you that are watching this. And there's like a stench that kind of comes with it. The spell of dizziness waft over you. You hear that same kind of whispering that many of you have heard before, like this sort of just on the edge of your memory. And as you're watching, like all of your stomachs begin to kind of roll with this sense of nausea as you see a tall figure standing in the boat. And you can see there's almost like these dark and flowing cloaks that seem to like ripple behind it with a wind that just doesn't even seem to make sense. The skin is pale, but you can't make out anything more than that. They're adorned with some sort of glistening, blackish-like armor, but you also see what looks like these more stylistic flourishes at some point in the distance. And they kind of turn ever so momentarily towards you, kind of looking in your direction, and you can't really make the face out too well. They seem to have some kind of crown or helm or mask that seems to be partially covering or obscuring the face. And like the mouth just begins to open, and you can see this brightness of a smile as the boat sort of curves around the bend, picking up this unnatural speed. The mist kind of waft a bit. All of you are almost like getting ready to sort of vomit at this point. And then within a moment, that green light just flickers out, and you no longer see the dark boat traveling westward towards the lake where you now travel. And that's where we're going to end on that last image, as a couple of us have another game to get to in a little bit.
Wow.
So we need to get some food first.
Goodness.
That's the last image. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay.
I hope you guys pack some Scooby snacks because I need some courage.
And an extra pair of long johns for Erebon. This is one of my favorite sounds. This is just so perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I
I can
mean?
tell it's your favorite.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like whenever you guys do undead stuff, I think it makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
It's perfect.
like,
It really is.
to me, it embodies like the idea of like the undead, the unseen, that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
let's go ahead.
It's fantastic.
Close that down. All right, so we'll be back next week, of course, with more of this. But we also have a game that comes sooner. So Steven, what are we playing tonight?
Tonight we're playing Darkest House over on Defenders of Cobalt, twitch.tv/Defenders of Cobalt. You'll see a couple familiar faces. I'll be there. Ashley will be there, and then a couple defenders, maybe one other person that we don't care about. But this is an important episode because we're in the climax of the series here, and Ashley's character, we ended on a cliffhanger a month ago. She fell down a 30-foot pit, and we don't know whether she's even alive at this point. So
Mhm.
we're gonna see how this goes. This might be Ashley's last episode with us.
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, of
And
course,
then-
if that ends up being the case, I'm gonna get a message on Discord. Kick Steven out of the
Yeah.
out of the one.
Don't have that power.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking at that. It's so much drama. Wonderful. Oh goodness. Okay.
You don't need any motive to kick me out. You're already planning it.
Yep. Planning it. What? No. I want to kill your character first, and then I'm gonna kick you out. Like right when you're feeling down, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make this other character. I'm gonna have this really good. I'm like, actually, that's not necessary. I think that's fine. I think we're
You're
okay.
out.
I think we're gonna go back to a trio.
And then that's when we get TPK'd.
Okay, it's been fun. I like the addition. I definitely
No,
like
it's
your
been good.
character more than you, though. So we'll
That-
have to sort of
That tends to be
navigate that a bit.
how it goes. Even my wife, I was playing a character when she met me, and now she got to know the real me, and she's like, go back to the dating version.
That's terrible.
That's sad, but entirely believable. All right. What else we got next? Melissa and I on Monday, new game. As we are starting up Holler. We played it a couple times here on the channel before. Long and Ashley were in those games as we did a couple one shots, but we're actually going to start a proper campaign with our UVG group as we finished up UVG a couple weeks ago. We're moving on. We're going to do some Holler for a bit. Next Friday, we're back to Traveler, which is going really great. It's been really, really fun so far.
Yeah.
So I think we might be able to finish the first scenario next Friday if we're lucky. And then with One Ring, we'll complete the rest of the journey. And we'll see if we can learn more about who these strange folks were that were traveling to Anominus, who, if anything, this weird ghostly ship was on the water, all that kind of stuff, as we hopefully reach the village of Eskerdale. But that's it for us. Thank you for everyone who hung out. Thank you for those of you who threw out some bits. The gift subs, Ron Talks Tabletop, thank you very much. Bits from Tool to Twitch, Farkadev, you all were great. Sadly, it let the party live longer. We almost killed a few, so, that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and raid somebody so that you can kind of continue to watch something. And then in about an hour and 45 minutes, come on over to Defenders of Cobalt stream, and you can watch a couple of us as we're playing Darkest House. But that's it.
Yeah, if I'm dead, keep me company in chat.
She's gonna need
There you
something to
go.
do.
Oh boy. Let's see.
We're just gonna put shutters over your window in the overlay.
I'm like there hanging out, but you can't see me because I'm dead.
Sorry, I'm looking for some on the raid. My usual raiding people aren't. No one's up. Here we go. We'll do Cyber Nation Uncensored. I think they sometimes do some cyberpunk. So we're gonna go ahead and give them a raid, and we'll catch you later. So follow the raid, and we'll see you next time. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for
See
watching.
ya later.